Hello, I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. This is week 3 of us using the Layering Leaves stamp set and using the new 2023 to 2025 in colors. And so I'm so excited for us to get back together this week and continue our journey with the stamp set. So this is the stamp set. It is a photopolymer stamp set. And let's review what we've made so far this month. Our first week, we did just some simple stamping. We used every single one of the colors, and we mounted white on white. So this is the first card we made. In that first evening, I also showed you how to do two-step stamping, and we used this layout and put the leaves in. These three were the two-step stamping. And we used our colors and our designer series paper from last month. And then last week, we made this card. I actually changed the label a little bit, so there's two different ways that we could do our label. And we used the wild wheat paper and designer series paper. And I showed you a technique where we were able to attach this piece of basic white cardstock, and we stamped all around the white cardstock going off the paper, and then mounted it on a just an eighth of an inch difference when we cut it down, so that you could match up all the different stamped images. And so that was last week's stamping. And this week we are making this card, and we're going to focus on using the Boho blue and the copper clay inks, and use also the Moody Mauve and the Wild Wheat inks as well. So let's get started. Let's move some of this out of the way so that we know where we're going. Okay, so to start with, I have, and remember, you don't need to be writing this down. I will be posting this in the comments afterwards, and I also posted it in the reminder about tonight, the measurements of the cardstock. But this is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of copper clay cardstock, and I'm just going to fold this in half and use my bone folder to crease the edge. So this is the base of our cardstock. We also need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. This will be going inside our card so that you'll have a place to write, and we'll do a little stamping on that. You'll need a piece of Boho blue that measures 4 by 4 1/4. You'll need a piece of Boho blue that we will be cutting down, but it measures 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. You're going to need a piece of the copper clay designer series paper that matches the in color selection, and it measures 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. And then finally, you need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. So that is what we need tonight for materials. So I'm going to start with my inner piece so that I can stamp my image, and I'm going to be using the copper clay and the open leaf pattern. So let's just open up that ink, and I didn't show you this on the inside of this card, but you can see that I just stamped a couple of those leaves on the inside. We don't want to forget about the inside of our card or our envelope, so something to think about. So I'm just going to stamp 2 of those right in the corner. I'm going to leave this ink pad out because we're going to be using it in just a minute, and let me find my stamp and seal. I didn't put it out because I was using it in the other room, but that's okay because let me just see if I've got one handy right here. Get it out of the package, and we'll be ready to go. This is a brand new one, so we're just going to put some adhesive on the back, and then we're going to put this on the inside of our card. So there's the first part of our card all done. Now we're going to start with doing some stamping on the outside of our card. And I'll just remind you, it was at the top and the bottom. We don't need to, you can stamp all over the cardstock, but you don't have to, because we are going to be, I'm going to go in different directions as I'm stamping. Just making sure that I'm getting the bottom part, and I can measure to see if I've got enough. Oh yeah, we've got enough there. And then I'm going to do the same at the top of the card. So this is just stamping color on color, same color of ink on the same color of background. It makes a really nice kind of background image for the card. So there we go there. Let me just close this up. And I am going to be placing my cardstock right here in the middle. So we'll add some adhesive to that, and then we're going to do some stamping on our basic white. I will be posting this week what we're working on for our what we're going to be using for a stamp set and a the stamp set and the inks for next month and the paper, so be staying tuned for that. Whether you're watching on the replay or live or on my YouTube channel, please make sure you say hello and let me know you're watching and where you're watching from. So I'm starting with this particular stamp, the same one we were using, the same color of ink, and I'm going to be just stamping a few of these in the background. There we go. Done with that stamp, but not this ink pad. And then I'm going to go to my Boho blue and do the same thing. Just add some images. There we go. I'm going to use the wild wheat next and add some of the larger open leaves. Just turning my stamp as I use it so that it's going to appear differently, facing different directions. And we're done with the wild wheat. And now we're going to go to the Moody Mauve and just fill in the smaller spaces. It's okay to stamp over things, around things, have it come off the paper. There we go. So we've got a nice collage background. I am just getting ink all over my fingers. Okay, and then this is going to go on the front of our card. There we go. Now, to kind of break this up a little bit, I am going to put this piece of paper right across the front, and our label is going to go over this. So there's the piece of designer series paper. You don't need a lot of designer series paper to have an impact on your card. And so this just gives enough to just break up the eye a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to continue using I'm going to wash off my mauve ink, my Moody Mauve, off of the floral image because I'm going to be using some of the copper clay on this. And I will be stamping "Thank you so much" on this. On the first card I did "Thinking of you," but I'm going to do a "Thank you so much" just to change it up a little bit. And then I'm going to have the little flower coming in on the top, going in a couple of directions. There we go. And then I can decide how I want to cut this. So I think on this one I'm going to add a little banner in. So I'm just going to cut some of the end off, and I'm going to just, using my scissors, cut that V to make it a really nice banner that can come across just like this onto the front of the card. So let me add my adhesive. And we're going to go right to the edge of the paper. And there we have it. Our Simply Stamping Sunday card for this week using the Thinking of You set. And this was my original. I just cut some of the, I made the arrow going the other way, the V. So please join me Friday for Fun Fold Friday, and join me back next Sunday night for our 4th edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. Good night, everybody.